pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will start with the consent agenda. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the consent agenda as presented, including approval of minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting on May 13th, 2024, approval of the proposed accounts for payment, approval of budgetary receipts and expenditures for May 2024, approval of Committee of the Whole minutes for May 28th, 2024, and excuse the absence of Eric Book.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Jason, do you have a treasurer's report for us?
I do. So, treasurer's report for the month of May. Bills were $978,323.58. Payroll was $1,778,489.79, which brought May expenses to $2,756,813.20. May revenue, as anticipated, was a strong revenue month, $5,785,984.26. So that was for the month of May general fund account. As expected, May was a strong revenue month for us. Many things attributed to that. Number one, tax collections. Number two, we did have some reimbursements come back to us that we've applied for through grant funding. And basically this puts us at 3/4 of the way through the budget cycle. So 9 months in, we've used 67.37% of our budget authority at this time.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Are there any items that the board would like to pull off the consent agenda for further discussion? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Motion passes. Next up, outstanding recognition, Employee of the Month, Dr. Nielsen.
Okay, good evening. I have the honor and the privilege to bring Mrs. Rupplogo up here and have her introduce our Employee of the Month. I know that there are multiple people sitting in the audience that could absolutely receive this recognition, but she's going to let us know who is receiving it. Yes.
I'm excited. I have a large family contingency here because they think Andrew Hakey is being presented with some award. So in the future, I sure hope you come up with an award for him. But actually, Brendan, this year to give me my one son said to me today, he said, "Mom, aren't they catching on to that yet?" And I said, "Well, not yet, and today should be my last one, so I think I made it through." Hello. You didn't know you were coming through this. Okay. Well, Mr. Blackburn is loved by all the kids at Paddock Lane, and he loves them in return, as is witnessed by all of us each day. Brendan seeks to build positive student relationships with all the nearly 400 students that come his way. It is clear relationship building is very important to Brendan. This is observed pretty much everywhere at Paddock Lane. When not in a multi-purpose room for a PE class, you might find him in a kindergarten classroom sitting in one of those tiny chairs, they are 12 inches off the floor, helping a table full of littles because we didn't have kindergarten pair that day. Brendan may well be in a classroom covering for a teacher who is in an IP meeting or volunteering for yet another day of morning door duty. However, truly, of Barron's most appreciated volunteer duties is that of the lunchroom aide. Every day, you will always find him in the lunchroom, helping the child go through the vegetable cart line, then the fruit cart line. If the tray is too heavy for one of the little ones, there's Mr. Blackburn carrying it to the table, then hurrying back to help the next child in line. If you need instructions on scraping trays, moving food carts from one place to another, or putting lunch tables back up so you can have PE class in 10 minutes, Mr. Blackburn is the person to call on. He truly has a master's degree in lunchroom strategy. Mr. Neese, our building custodian, greatly appreciates his part-time assistant. And my guess is they might put you to work next year too in a much bigger lunchroom. Brendan is often the go-to teacher for checking on some of our students who need that little extra attention. He makes certain to check in with them during the morning and then again as the day comes to a close. This extra contact helps many of our students stay on track, make better choices, and have a positive day. As a colleague, he is always ready to lend a hand more times than I can count. Brendan just sees the need for help and jumps right in. When Paddock Lane was without a kindergarten paraeducator for an extended period, where was Mr. Blackburn during his planning time? Back in Miss Veronic's room, sitting on one of those little chairs. Every staff member at Paddock Lane has witnessed Mr. Blackburn go above and beyond to help a colleague's day run smoother, whether or not he was asked. As his building administrator, one of the most enjoyable experiences takes place on Monday morning at the beginning of the day, when Brendan has a special education, physical education class for some of our higher needs students. Watching Brendan interact with our special children is truly a joy to witness. Though all these children have PE with their peers, this is a time for them to shine as well. They love the attention they get and the opportunities to demonstrate their skills. Brendan's energy level is high. As you can see, he's a tall guy. He needs a lot of energy. His need for high-level sugar intake is known to us all. He has a sweet tooth like you would not believe. He greatly appreciates those Twizzler and Oreo Mega Stuff refills that we are all happy to supply him. And when I shared with one of your students that you were getting an award tonight, he said, then you have to get Mr. Blackburn a present. And I said, what should I get him? And he said, Mega Oreos and a big bag of Twizzlers. Mr. Blackburn is a role model to the students and staff alike. He puts the needs of others in front of his own, demonstrates a belief in success for all, and knows the power of working as a member of a team. Congratulations, Mr. Blackburn. You are an employee of the month. Thank you. I believe he has something better than Oreos and
Thank you. We need a picture.
He wants to take a picture over here. Last one with me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And now you can go home.
All right, congratulations, Brendan. Next up, information portion, board reports, committee of the whole. Doris.
The Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting was held on Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. The meeting started off with Mr. Alexander provided a multiculturalism report that highlighted the activities that took place at all levels, preschool, elementary, middle, and high school. We then talked about the cell phone policy, and Mr. Alexander shared a comparison chart containing data on cell phone policies from a number of other districts. And he said the proposal would most likely become a component of the high school handbook as opposed to making it board policy. Mr. Alexander there shared that throughout this entire process, or this is talking about the interfund borrow, and we'll be talking about that later this evening, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. He then shared that the service contract with JCI comes due in July, and it's been quite some time since it's been out for bid. So he said that he would be bidding out that preventive maintenance service agreement. That ends my report.
All right, thank you, Doris. Next up, public forum, citizens' request for comments, and seeing we have nobody here to comment, we will move on to the discussion portion. We will start with the Community Eligibility Program, CEP, Dr. Nielsen.
Perfect, thank you. I am going to provide everyone with an update. Now, this is going to be a briefer update than I have done in the past because all of you have heard this update before, so I just want to show you the numbers this year and just review some things as we go through so that you can look at what this program offers, you can look at what it would cost the district, and then you can make a decision during the action portion of the meeting. So here we go with the community eligibility provision. Sorry. There I am. So if you just can't read the ones in front of you, this is much easier to read. So, review of the lunch program. We do participate in the National School Lunch Program. All families have the opportunity to complete free and reduced lunch applications to waive costs and fees. Free and reduced lunch rates impact almost all other programs, funding sources, and grant opportunities, as we know. And we operated as normal in 23-24. Parents completed the free and reduced lunch applications. So that is how we currently have operated. As we move into CEP, CEP is Community Eligibility Provision. What is it? It increases access to nutritious school meals. It reduces paperwork because no students have to complete a free or reduced lunch form. Participating schools are guaranteed to receive the same free claiming percentage for 4 years. So your percentages will not change up or down during those 4 years. And students in this program, so how we are determined what percentage of our students qualify based upon the CEP is based upon whether they are direct certified or not. And direct certified means that they qualify for SNAP, TANF, Medicaid, foster care, Head Start, homeless, migrant, or runaway. So if they fit into one of those parameters, they qualify for CEP, and that's how we get our numbers. I will tell you though, if they fit into one of those parameters currently, they are direct certified and they are automatically free lunch. So we automatically go in, we do not ask them to fill out paperwork, we just place them as free lunch because the state has already told us that they are free lunch. The national, as I just said, I'm not going to repeat myself. Okay, here we go on to how CEP works. So CEP works, there is no grant application, the state sends us this information, and then we work with the numbers to determine what it would cost our district to help make us make kind of a informed decision. So as you look at this, the eligibility is determined for an entire district, a group of schools, or a single school. Currently, Beatrice has 5 schools that qualify. So preschool, Lincoln, Stoddard, Paddock, and the middle school. The middle school did not qualify last year, they qualified this year. Our high school's close, but they are not there to that 40% of the students being direct certified. So here are the percentages. I've only included last year's and this year's numbers just because I want you to see the comparison. So you have the school, and then you have the 22-23 applications free or reduced lunch, and then you have CEP percentage, and then you have 23-24 applications free or reduced lunch, and then CEP percentage. As you look at it, so the applications in 23-24, you can see the preschool stayed the same at 62.5% free or reduced lunch. Lincoln went up to 70.8%. Paddock Lane went to 66.1, Stoddard went to 66.4, middle school went to 54.6, and the high school went to 49.7. So those are based upon applications that students turn in, based upon our current practice of the National School Lunch Program. Those are our free and reduced lunch percentages. You can see our free and reduced lunch percentages are going up substantially. So we've seen some increases, quite a few increases, and the one benefit to receiving those papers from the families and making, and verifying these students and these families as free or reduced lunch are the grant opportunities that are open to our district. Because the more need we have, the more opportunities we have to go out and seek funding to help the students in our district. So if you look at the last column, that is the CEP. These are the percent of students that are direct certified. So at the preschool, we have 50.25%, Lincoln's 48.7%, Paddock Lane is 48.79%, Stoddard is 40.25%, middle school's 40.23%, and then the high school's at 34.29%. So you can see the high school's close to that 40% mark, but they are not there yet. So, any questions about this chart? Okay, moving on, as we look at the next piece, what are things to consider? As we look at CEP, the district, the general fund, must pay for what is left. So, we have been certified with that percent of students So 50.25% at Beatrice Community Preschool will be, the federal government helps pay for part of that, but then the district pays for the rest. So there is a cost to districts who participate in the community eligibility program because they have to use general fund money to pick up the remainder. The lunch program that we currently have is self-sufficient. They pay for a large majority of everything that they have. They pay for their food, they pay for repairs. You're gonna see tonight they're going to pay for a large amount of equipment that needs to be replaced. So they pay for their staff. They pay for a lot of things, and they have that money to do it because they have access to the funds that we have. And so they're able to sustain their program and keep their program going. I know since 2012, we've never had to provide funding for the school lunch program because they are self-sufficient. And then, so now here we get to the impact. So what is the impact on the budget? As you look at this, they take April, the number of lunches and breakfasts served in the month of April, and that's how we calculate what we will pay. So the general fund expenses for the 5 buildings that qualify. So this would be the general fund expenses that would cover the preschool, Stoddard, Paddock, Lincoln, and the middle school. And I know that we're going down to, I know we're combining schools, but you still are looking at everything's in the rears because they don't have data for the new building. That will not come till next year. So as we look at that, the general fund expenses for those 5 buildings will be $15,335.44 per month that the general fund will have to cover every month. That would be a total of $153,354.40 per year that the school district would have to cover out of general funds. Now, one may say, well, why aren't we covering the high school? If we're covering PK through 8, why are we not covering 9 through 12? Because we do have quite a few students in the 9 through 12 range that could also use a hand as well. If we chose to cover the 9 through 12, that you are looking at $35,875.97 per month, which would be a total of $358,759.70 per year. So to cover all of it would be looking at a total bill of $512,114.10 to cover PK through 12. So as we look at this, I think cost versus equity. Is it one of those things that we just cover PK through 8 and let 9-12 continue as is? The other thing is there's already a system in place. We have a system that is working. We have a system that's working well. We work diligently with families. I will tell you one of the things that we have done this year is we have asked community organizations to donate and individuals to donate, and they have donated a huge amount of money. There is no child in our district that has, if they cannot cover, we have not been able to help. So we've been able to help any child or any family who's needed help where they maybe have had, I ended up on the phone with a parent. They had a disaster happen and I said, how about I cover? And they were grateful. And so that's the thing, is we have a lot of saints in our community, as we all know, and they do an amazing job of helping to support our students. Every district is different. What program works best for one district around the state may not work for another district. Other grants and programs could be impacted as we looked at that. If we go with CEP rates, we don't get the forms. It could also be parents don't fill out forms at all. And so the other things is other things could be impacted too. They would still have to fill out the forms for the classroom fees or for your waiver for sports, athletics, extracurriculars. Those fees would have to be waived as well, so they would have to fill out those forms. But I do think it wouldn't make a difference in that free and reduced lunch percentage because we would see that drop. Any questions for me?
Would it be possible for you to come back to us if the amount the district would have to pay would get closer to that $100,000 mark. I can't see us ever being able to come up with $500,000 to cover this program. I would like to see you return to us if the high school goes on and with all the calculations that it would be something that we might be able to afford to participate in. Is that something that, do you know what I'm saying? Like now she's coming to us and saying this program will cost over $500,000
Only if we cover pre-K through 12, we can still cover pre-K through 8.
for $315,000.
For 153.
For 100.
Okay. But if we covered all of them, it would
Yeah.
be,
If you cover all of them, it would be 512,000,
But we can still cover pre-K through 8 for a little over 100,000.
150,000.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in a year
Right.
Mm-hmm.
after we've made the transition into one building and how things shape themselves out. It may not be any different, but
Do you know, I think when we had previous discussion on it in prior years, there was concern, you know, if you're not doing it for everyone, then we shouldn't probably be doing it for anyone. And again, I look at $153,000 as an awful lot of money to find in the budget.
I could definitely include the numbers in a superintendent update before the meeting happens, just to see, okay, where we are, and to let each of you know where we are.
Is there a deadline for enrollment, Jackie? What is
June
that?
30th.
June 30th?
And that's why we tend to do May, June, committee of the whole, because the other thing is by the time Dawn runs all the numbers for me, that's the other thing, is it takes time to get everything
It's
run.
all based on April, right?
Mm-hmm, yep. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. Nielsen?
At this point, I would say that my recommendation would be not to participate if we are going to look at PK-12, just because $532,000 is a lot of money. I also think that as you look at even that PK-8, $153,000 is also a large amount of money. That is, in my brain, that's 2 teachers. So 2 teachers to make 2 classrooms smaller. We are seeing students that participate. We are seeing families that fill out forms. We call them. We are constantly working with families. If circumstances were different, I would say absolutely let's go. But I do think we have done a tremendous effort to try and make sure all families have access to the great meals that the ladies and our gentlemen make in the lunchrooms.
Ensuring meals to all students is one of the most essential parts of the program.
Absolutely.
They can't learn if they can't
Yep.
eat.
And we don't turn a student away even if they have a negative lunch account.
Yeah, so I'm encouraged by the turnout of the community
Mm-hmm.
that comes through. It's just unfortunate we can't get the state to kick something in that more people to realize how important this is.
Yeah. I would agree.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the action portion, and we will start with the community eligibility program. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 not participate in the community eligibility program for the 2024-25 school year.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Anything else to add? I would assume not. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? All right, motion passes. Next up, approval of the renewal SOX license and service agreement for web hosting services. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the renewal of the SOX license agreement for web hosting in the amount of $3,215 per year for 3 years.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Anything to add to that, Mr. Alexander?
This basically is just a licensing fee for the company that hosts and provides our website, Beatrice Public Schools website. And so we pay it, we approve it in a 3-year time period. And our plan is to go with SOX again for this next 3-year term. And then once we get through that 3-year term, then to turn around and look at what other options might be available out there. With all the other changes that we're making at this time, we thought it was good to just do SOX for right now.
Okay. Any further comments, questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of the Interlocal Cooperation Act Agreement for Alternative Education Program with ESU 5 for the 24-25 school year. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the Interlocal Cooperation Act Agreement with ESU 5 for 2024-25.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Brandon.
So
Any comments on this?
some highlights for you and some information. Typically, there's not a lot of money that exchanges hands with this alternative education agreement. This is for all our students that the regular schooling program is not working for, or for some reason they need an alternative education program. We host SNAP out at the ESU 5, and it's just an agreement between the two of us. ESU 5 provides us seats in that program, so many seats in that program for Beatrice Public Schools, and then they provide the building, they provide the surveillance, they provide a paraprofessional, and they provide the computers and the OdysseyWare licenses in exchange for the fact that we provide a teacher. And next year there are a lot of things changing, as we all know, but this is one of the areas that there are some changes being made, just subtle changes, but it's been discussed about gearing that back a little bit in terms of how many students are in the alt ed program. Mr. Tom Jack is the teacher that's out there, and what's needed at our high school more and more every year is there are more students that are taking OdysseyWare courses at the high school that are either AP courses or other forms of creditized courses that they're taking on OdysseyWare. So the plan for next year is that Mr. Tom Jack will be at the ESU 5 for half days, 5 days a week, but then after lunch he will transition back to the high school and be coordinating the OdysseyWare students there and maintaining that class, and then also working with our school to work kids that are doing school to work programs. So essentially BHS will maintain its 15 seats at the alt ed program. ESU 5 will still sponsor the facilities, the utilities, the computers for student use, and the licenses for the programs. Mr. Tom Jack will just be out there in the morning, and then instead of being out there all day, he will now transition back to the high school to work with OdysseyWare and school to work students, supervise them. Any questions?
Did there used to be an afternoon program out there?
We have operated that way in the past several years, but we've also been relying on students from other schools to come in, and there hasn't been a tremendous amount of those students, so we've decided to cut that back a little bit, is why it's only going for a half day.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of bus transportation fees for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the bus transportation fee of $160 for the 2024-25 school year.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Anything to add, Dr. Nielsen?
So the 160 is actually what we have been charging for the last couple of years. We are keeping it the same. During the 24-25 school year, we will do a review of what we are charging and what other districts are charging, because there are districts surrounding us that are charging between $600 to $800 per family. So I do think we are on the very low end. district transportation, and so we will be evaluating that as we move forward. I do know that we are also evaluating routes too, and looking at adding, seeing where we are with routes, seeing where we are with registrations, and seeing where we will need to be come August. So we are working diligently this summer to get transportation ready to go. Questions?
Yeah, I don't understand. Currently, do you have to live so far from the school to get free transportation?
You have to be a rural student or a special education student.
Okay, so everyone has paid last year?
If they are free or reduced lunch, they do not pay.
Okay, all right. So any free and reduced child can ride the bus for free?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Motion passes. All right, approval of the contract with Logan Spilker, Renee Mitchell, Chelsea Yokel, and Claire Pfeiffer, speech language pathologist for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the contracts with Logan Spilker, Renee Mitchell, Chelsea Yokel, and Claire Pfeiffer, speech language pathologist for the 2024-25 school year.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet.
So Logan, Chelsea, and Renee are the same contracts. We're just renewing them that we had this year. Logan is 4 days a week, Chelsea's 3 days a week, and Renee is 5 days a week. And then we had an SLP resign to move back to Illinois to be close to family. So we hired Claire Pfeiffer, who will be a first year SLP with us. And she'll be 5 days a week.
Okay. So basically same FTEs as we had in the past.
Yep.
Any further questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Motion passes. Next up, approval of contract for Emily Zarbanicki, occupational therapist for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the contract with Emily Zarbanicki, occupational therapist for the 2024-25 school year.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Anything else to add?
So this is just renewing Emily's contract for OT services. She's our second OT in the district and keeping everything the same for next year.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Motion passes. Thanks, Beth. Next up, interfund borrow.
Yes.
Motion.
Motion.
I move that the Board of Education adopt the proposed resolution in accordance with Nebraska Administrative Code Title 92, Chapter 2, Section 003.04C, Nebraska Revised Statute 79-1070, Nebraska Revised Statute 13-510, and other Nebraska laws and regulations that hereby find and determines that the school district desires to and shall transfer and borrow up to $2,800,000 from the general fund or other permissible funds for the special building fund to apply towards the new pre-K-5 elementary school project.
All right, I have a motion or a resolution. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Janet. Anything else to add that we did not talk about at the committee of the whole meeting, Jason?
No, not essentially. This is basically just that's a lot of language for Rule 2 under the Department of Education says we can loan ourselves money to avoid having to pay interest from going out and getting it from somewhere else. So we're just loaning ourselves money from the general fund to put it into the building fund to finish off our obligations for the construction of the new building.
All right, any further questions, comments from the board? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Yeah, motion passes. All right, next up, discuss, consider, and take the necessary action to fix freezers at Beatrice Middle School and Beatrice High School. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the proposed quotes for freezer quotes.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. And Dr. Nelson again.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so the health inspector paid a visit to the middle school and high school kitchens in late April. And the takeaway from the health inspector is that we need to do some work on our middle school freezer and also put a new floor in our high school refrigerator. So we work with Tech Masters, have received 2 quotes back from them. Tech Masters has done a lot for our nutrition services and services the majority of our equipment in our kitchens. So what we are doing is we are seeking approval so that we can get both of these started, so that we can get them fixed. Because right now the freezer and the refrigerator are all cleared out. And so they are able to work on them. If we would wait until the year begins, well, they are going to be plugged in, then we have to remove all the food and then get everything a new home. And then let it thaw out and get it so we can get it fixed. So as you look at the quotes, the quote for the middle school, and I will tell you this is also something that will probably be coming down the pike, is we will have to replace this freezer eventually, because it is not, I mean, we are getting it up to code, but there are some needs in this kitchen. The quote for the middle school freezer is $8,335.60. And this quote will add an insulation diamond plate adhesive. Basically what it will do is take the walls to keep from falling apart, because right now they are moving and we do not want them to be moving. So they need to stay together, so we are working on that. The other quote for the high school is to put a sealant on the floor so that we have less of a trip hazard, because right now it is too slick of a surface, so we are looking at a diamond plating is what they do. It's a sealant on the floor to keep it from a trip hazard. The total for that is $18,800.22. And as I noted before, the beautiful thing is nutrition services will pay for this. I think that's part of the beauty of the National School Lunch Program is our nutrition services. They do take care of themselves and they do take care of the equipment. Because with the middle school kitchen being 50, 60 years old, with the high school kitchen being 20 plus years old, I mean, it does take a toll on the equipment, and we need to continue to keep it updated and continue to keep it to where it meets health code and meets so that our students have quality food and have safe food. Any questions about the 2 quotes?
All right.
How long do these freezers generally last?
I'm pretty sure that both freezers have been in there since, I would have to check on that one.
Okay.
I know that I think that they are original, but I know the high school is original. I don't know if the middle school is. That would be I would have to double check on that one before I say something. But I can check, and I think that we could end up getting 3 to 5 years out of what they're doing at the middle school before we have to purchase the full, and they have to come in and redo it. Now, I will tell you the one thing that they are concerned about the middle school is they don't know what's underneath it. And so that's a concern. And that's why I'm leaning more towards it's an original freezer in there, because I don't know if we've messed with it in a long time or if we've taken care of it. I know we've taken care of it, but I don't know if we have replaced it fully, because that is one of the red flags that is coming up.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. All right, next up, Administrator's Report. Mr. Alexander.
So a few things to bring you up to speed on that have just come across our radar screens today. The street update, originally I told you that looked like the construction would begin on June 17th. We received an email today that the company is going to start on the 24th. Apparently Black Hills Energy still has some lines they have to get moved that's going to push that back a week. So to my knowledge, the goal will still be to be done with the entire project by the end of 2024, which is a good thing, but it's just going to get pushed. The start date's just going to get pushed back a day. a week. So tomorrow we have a pre-proposal conference that will be held here at the district office from 10:30 to 11:30 to cover any questions from any of the companies that are submitting an RFP for the HVAC preventative maintenance program. So any of those companies that saw that RFP have the opportunity to come tomorrow from 10:30 to 11:30 and ask any questions that they might want to, and then they'll be allowed to go look at the 3 sites that we're securing that RFP from. Just a reminder, the committee of the whole meeting that's in 2 weeks roughly will consist mostly of first readings of policies. We'll be looking at handbooks, those types of things. So all those policies we're working on right now, getting them ready to go for your late night reading pleasure prior to the committee of the whole meeting, so you have them in your hands, and we'll cover them as expediently as possible at that meeting. The school law workshop is June 13th in Kearney. I think Charles has signed up to go to that, so thank you for going to that. The new elementary coloring book created by Miss Neverby and the art club, her art club that she has going, is pretty darn awesome. And we got an updated copy of that today. It takes the OLLI, the O, the elementary O, and uses him to talk about different character things that are going on in school. I'll leave that here, and then every student in the elementary will get this when it's all polished and ready to go. Just a pretty cool project that our art club kids have been working on under the guidance of Ms. Neverby, so we appreciate that. And then finally, Jackie just had a few updates she wanted to give you about summer school.
303 students are attending the Best Possible Summer, so we are very excited because we're getting it back up to that 300 mark. The other fun little thing that you might see later on in the Beatrice Daily Sun is that we do have 7 college students who are BHS alum that have come back and are teaching summer school for us. But the really even better thing is they're going into some type of education pathway. So they want to be teachers, they want to be SLPs, and so my goal is to get them hooked into how awesome Beatrice is, so they just don't want to leave, or they just come back. But it's not only a great opportunity for the kids, the K-5s, but it's also a great opportunity for these college students to come back and start seeing education in a different light and start finding ways to work with kids, and it has been it's been awesome. So if you want to take a stroll through Paddock Lane, stop by because there's a lot of great things going on. And next year, the great thing is it'll be 10 years next year. So very excited about that. For about next summer, we've got to think something new, get a little bit more pizzazz going, and we'll be in a new building, which will be, probably even better, but we'll have to think of something else. So if you have any ideas, I'm all for ideas. Thank you.
All right, anything else to add? Okay. Notification of next meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be July 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Administration Building. The Committee of the Whole meeting will be June 27th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Administration Building. An agenda for the meeting, which shall be kept continually current, is readily available for public inspection at the Superintendent's office during normal business hours. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Your votes, please. We are adjourned.